Hey guys, I'm Will,
And I'm Kim.
and we run Wobble Wellness. My nickname is Wobble, and we deal with everything wellness.
Let's have a chat Tuesday. We have had some amazing couples and individuals come on so far, and we have another one today, which is the Tanoas. And so we will cover again a topic around grief and loss. So if anything we talk about today triggers you, seek professional help. So welcome, Tanoas.
Hey, Nigel.
What's been going on?
All false, I know. So we'll start off by asking you guys, tell us about where you're from, maybe your background, where you grew up, and about your family.
So I'll start off. So my name's Afo Tanoa. I grew up in Wellington, Lower Hutt, New Zealand. New Zealand born Samoa. Hey? Yeah. Pass it over to more.
You're going to introduce me? And I'm Joelita, or Leda, Tanoa. So we originally are from Wellington, Poirua. P-Town. No, so we have 5 children, Samoan, like Fo said, and we're pretty, what's the word? I don't know. Pretty chill, pretty kickback. We moved over to Brisbane in 2016, so going on 4 years, and loving it. Been a good time.
All right. So so you've got 5 children. Today I know you've been brave enough to come on and talk to us about baby number 4. So we wanted to just ask you guys, what happened in the lead up to, say, having baby number 4? Because I noticed there's a bit of a gap, between 3 and 4. And then what that looked like being pregnant. Was there complications, or whatever you feel you'd like to share with us around that? Baby's name, even baby's name, and like how you came about with her name.
Yeah, cool. So for those who don't know, we do have 5 children. 4 of them are Earthside, and 1 waiting for us in heaven. Our little angel baby Drew. She was, well, like most of them, unplanned, not unwelcome, but definitely wasn't part of the plan. But when we fell pregnant with her, we were really busy. We had a lot going on. We were in the middle of an international move. So, we were planning to come over here. And to be quite honest, I didn't see the doctors as much as I normally would have, with everything going on. So that's a touchy subject that I'll kind of come back to later. But so basically I went into premature labor. I was 29 weeks, I think it was. Started having contractions. I didn't know they were contractions because I've never gone right through to the full term. I've always had the babies preemie, and they've all been via C-section. So labor was totally foreign to me. So luckily I had my cousins with me at the time who were kind of like, because I was explaining the pains and stuff, and they were like, are you having contractions? I was like, I have no idea, because I've never had contractions before.
Yeah, wow.
Anyway, got taken to the hospital. Long story short, we had to go to an emergency Caesar because her heart rate dropped. So yeah, I was knocked out. They took baby out, and when she was born, she had no heartbeat. So for 8 minutes, they tried to resusc her, and they were successful, but because 8 minutes without oxygen to baby's brain meant severe brain damage. And so after 7 days of complications, she passed away. Yeah. But her name, like I said, is Drew. Drew was named after old mate here.
Mhm.
His Palangi name is Andrew. And so, yeah, we took it from there. We weren't actually, Dejan, baby number 3 was meant to be named Drew.
Yeah.
But this guy was like, oh, no, I don't really want to go to work and be called Drew all day and then come home and call my daughter Drew. And I don't know. It was a weird one. But then when baby Drew came along, he was like, yeah, no, let's call her Drew. And I was like, well, what, you said that you didn't want to be called Drew all day and, you know, come home and have to call your baby Drew. But then after baby passed away, it kind of made sense.
It's funny because my middle name, Andrew, a bit of a weird story, but I'm named after my dad's rugby coach.
Very Polynesian.
Very.
There's like not much importance in the name, really.
Is that where you get sidestep from?
Like it's not even like a rep team
name.
coach or just a coach.
Just my dad's rugby coach.
Made an impact. He made an impact, eh?
Yeah.
That's an impact coach.
So what was that week like then, I suppose, for you guys in that week of baby being born and then having to be in the hospital? So it sounds like you're quite used to the premature situation, but then knowing that she had those 8 minutes of needing to be revived and saved, and then being in hospital with her for 7 days, was it the unknown or what? Or did you know what was happening, or how did that feel? And what was that like for you guys in your relationship?
I guess there was always hope. Like during that 7 days, like there wasn't, like we weren't even gonna say that we weren't coming home with a baby sort of thing. Like there was always hope that she was gonna fight past that, the brain damage that she had and come home with us. But
Right.
yeah, for us, we just had to stick it out really, and just have faith on the doctors and that they were going to pull it through. But mom was just hope really. Yeah.
It was frustrating because the doctors, like every time we went to see baby, it was always, oh, your baby's very sick. Oh, she's very sick. Like, and I just, there was never really a time where they were like, this is what's going on. And I think it was because they hadn't found anything yet. And I guess as medical professionals, they can't really be like, oh, mate, sorry, your baby's, on her way out or whatever. But for us, because we do kind of like it straight, I got to a point where I was like, look, just tell it to me straight. You guys are just kind of beating around the bush sort of thing. I just wanted to know what was happening so that we could have a plan in place. And because I'm a little bit OCD. I like to, I'm used to, when you're used to being in control and having a plan in place and executing the plan and all that kind of stuff, and then something like this happens where you have no control, like it threw me way out. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what I could do. Like there was no troubleshooting, baby. It was kind of like, well, we kind of have to see where we go with this. As for us as a couple, we always joke about how a miracle happened because we started praying together. But because for so long we hadn't been going to church, attending where we normally go, and doing all that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden we kind of felt like, oh shoot, this is beyond any kind of help that we can get here. We needed a bit of divine help. And so like we literally found ourselves on our knees every chance we could get. And it wasn't just your repeat prayer, thanks for this, can I please have this, sort of thing. Like we really found ourselves pouring our hearts out to God, to Heavenly Father. So that was a miracle in itself. But yeah, it definitely got us through the week.
So with baby, were they trying to like save her, or did you guys get a choice where it was up to you guys whether she continues on or not?
Yeah, they were. So at first they were trying to see how severe the brain damage was. So she was kind of exhibiting signs or showing signs that she had brain damage, but it wasn't until they were able to get, they were waiting for some special machine to, do the scan and to find out exactly how bad it was. When the results came back from that scan, they pretty much told us that there was no hope.
There's no hope, yeah.
She was gonna pass away. Like, there was no two ways about it. And up until that point, that had never crossed our minds. With all of our prayers and all that kind of thing, in our minds we were either taking home a healthy baby or we were taking home a sick baby. But we had never ever thought that we wouldn't be taking a baby home at all. So I think that was kind of like the turning point for us, and we were kind of like, oh shoot, I didn't even realize that was an option. But when they came back with that, they did say, because she was breathing on the machine, it was, the only way we will know if she can breathe on her own is if we turn it off. And then from there, we did have to make a decision. So the only question we had was, is it hurting her? Does it hurt to try and actually survive and breathe and all that kind of stuff? And they said, yeah, it does. And that was when we were like, well, we don't
suffer no more.
Yeah.
For you, like as a father, like what was your train of thought when these options were presented to you?
I don't know. It was just sort of blank at the time, eh?
Yeah.
It was like real blank, yeah. I just didn't know what to think. Like, what? Oh, yeah. Like at the time it was happening, it was like, I felt like it was just a dream.
Yeah.
Like just different things running through my head. Like, I have to be super supportive of her because, like, for me as a father, like, not only you support your kids, but you support your wife as well, sort of thing. Like, that's just the way I see it. So, like, I just had to be strong for her, like, sort of thing. Like, it was running wild through my head, but I was like, man, how do I support her? I can't support myself. But yeah, no, I just had to be strong for her. Yeah. But,
So that's
like the question.
Yeah. So then how do you guys support your mental health? Because I mean, nothing physically has gone wrong with either of you in the sense that when you have grief and loss, how do you mentally support each other's mental health or well-being? Because I could imagine, I don't know, it's all a made-up scenario for me, so correct me if I'm wrong. But if it was me and Will, I could imagine I'm quite a stressed out person, so I would be in the sense of in those moments when I'm chucked something that, like leader, it's out of my control. I'm like, damn it. Like, so then I tend to reflect that onto Will, like, why is this happening? Like, what's going on? And I can only imagine are those kind of things something that, how do you look after that? How do you fight back? Like when it feels like all is lost and you feel hopeless?
No, I honestly feel like, to be completely honest, if this was our first baby, I think we would have struggled a lot more because we would have only had each other, whereas because this was baby number 4, we still had 1, 2, and 3, that we were responsible for. And so it kind of, I don't want to say softens the blow, but it gave us something, it gave us purpose to continue, like we weren't just kind of wallowing in our sorrows or, that kind of thing. We still had 1, 2, and 3 to take care of. We had 1, 2, and 3 that we had to explain to, you know, so there was a lot of open conversation around death, around babies passing and that. So we've been very open with them right from the get-go. So they are very familiar with death, a bit too familiar sometimes when people come over. They're kind of like showing people pictures and like, oh yeah, that's our baby Drew, yeah, she died. And it's kind of like, guys, not everyone is that, you know, thing about it. But when it came to supporting each other, there was just a lot of praying.
Yeah.
A lot of praying, a lot of crying together. Yeah. Like there was just, like my mate said, he was stalwart. Like he was so strong right from the get-go. And there was a time that we had alone in our room kind of leading up to baby's funeral where I was like, I haven't seen you cry. And no. No, but you know, like, and just kind of reminding him that you're allowed, you can, it's okay, you can cry, let it out, sort of thing. And then when he kind of confided in me like, oh, but I need to be strong for you, I'm like, yeah, but you need to grieve too. Like, it's not just my daughter, you know, she's half of you. So I don't know, we just leaned on each other a lot through the whole thing, through the whole process. Even now, I guess we fully committed when we married each other. Yeah. Sickness and in health, all that kind of stuff. But no, he's always been very supportive of everything I do, and I try to return the favor. So it's been good.
So do you feel like you've had your time to grieve, Fou?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. I think, hey. Yeah. I think we've had our time to grieve. It was probably when everyone left to go home.
Yeah, after it all.
When my parents went home, the old man, her dad flew back, her brother flew back, my brother went back to Sydney. And then it was just an empty house. And I'm like, well, so where's our baby? But it was just, you know, everything just happened real quick. You know, it was back to us two and our kids again. Yeah. So it was just like, oh, well, let's just pick up where we left off without baby.
Yeah. So then how has your life forever changed since her passing? What changed within you guys? What changed within the way you saw life, within the way you did things? Did you have a renewed purpose to life? Any of that?
Yeah, totally. It changes your outlook on everything. You don't sweat the small stuff anymore. Well, not as much, you know, because you realize that life, just as quickly as it's given, can be taken as well. And you just don't want to kind of waste any time on things that don't need to be wasted on, you know. So focus on the positive and just kind of, I think we've been a lot more out there. Hey, would you say?
Yeah.
Like kind of getting out there, doing stuff, being involved, and chasing dreams and following rainbows and
cool, because it puts I guess a perspective on how short life is. Would you agree? Yeah Cool.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So how's that affected your children, because they're quite young? Do you feel like do they ask questions, and then what did that, I guess as Polynesians as well, we grieve with the people that are going to watch I would say mostly Polynesian, but we would get some that are not. But like we grieve, we bring the baby home. There's a lot of that. And so what did those discussions look like with your older kids?
It was easy because we explained it to them in the hospital before we brought baby home.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess when baby came home, they just like I don't know if they were freaked out or not, but
Hmm.
like they were holding her like as if she was still alive. You know what I mean? Like, right up to the time we had to leave to bury her. But
I think kids are more resilient than what we think. You know,
yeah,
a lot of the
Yeah.
times when something sad happens to someone, we always feel sorry for the kid, but the kid's actually fine.
Yeah.
Like for me, like
yeah,
my dad died one day before I was born, and so every time I meet
Yeah.
people, like I meet my dad's family, and that they always say to each other in Tongan, like, "This is the guy, you know, Davide. This is the son that died. Like he grew up with no dad, like you know." So it's just like, and then I'm just thinking, I'm fine, guys. I'm fine. Like, and I'm like, I'm fine. I grew up fine. Like I didn't,
yeah,
you know. So I think
more resilient.
I think kids are more
Yeah.
resilient than what we think, and it's more our
Yeah.
thoughts. Like we look at them, we go, "Oh, you're not gonna have a little sister," you know. But they're fine. They deal with it, and you know.
No, you're right.
You're
They
exactly right.
they really are resilient. And they're just so, because, you know, unlike adults, they don't overthink everything.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
explain
Right.
something to them and
It's
it's just black and white to them.
Yeah.
I think we really kind of felt when we were pregnant with Dre.
Yeah.
So because between Drew and Dre we had a miscarriage that they were also aware of. By the time we were pregnant with Dre, it was crazy. Like in their prayers, they would pray and ask Heavenly Father and be like, "Oh, please don't let what happened to Drew happen to this one." You know, so they were like, we were finding them being, they were really specific in their prayers. They were
So cool.
really careful. Yeah, it was pretty cool to see, like, because we don't, like, there's no way I would have thought that they would think that way.
Yeah.
But then we'd have family prayers and they'd say that and I'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, well, it's just like one of those, a teaching moment, but you didn't plan it. It just happened because they're experiencing it. One other question I had listening to you guys talk earlier was, I remember Fou was saying that he just had hope, you know, but then when baby Drew actually passed away, was your hope hurt in that moment? Your belief in hope, was it hurt? Was it damaged a bit?
Yeah, it was.
And how did you recover that? How did you recover that belief and hope? You know.
Yeah, well, that's a tough one, eh? How did you recover from that? From the hope?
Because knowing you guys now, I can see you guys have hope. Definitely, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You guys have recovered, but what did you guys think you guys did? Or?
I think we just toughed it out together.
Yeah.
Like, had to stick by each other. Like, yeah. Because if we didn't stick together, through it together, like, I don't know. Like, I'll probably go cry in one room, she'll probably go cry in another room, come back, oh, why'd you cry for? Like,
yeah.
I'm still crying, but I just went and cried another. So I don't,
Yeah.
I think we did it. We did all that together. Together, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which sort of bonded it, like made it a bit easier transition to get through together.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Hey.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We had to cry together. We had to, you know.
Yeah.
I couldn't go and drive around and hide and get angry at the world because there was no point of it.
Yeah.
But you know, just being open in a room and just pour your heart out, and that was it. Feel good, feel better after that.
Yeah. I asked that question because I know there's a lot of people that have experienced what you guys have experienced. But looking at you guys are joking around, you guys are real jovial and all that. And some other couples may not be going through that stage. So that's why I had to ask these questions, you know? These things will help other people that are going through it.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot to do as well with our upbringing, with our background, with just the way we are in general. Which, you know, like I always say, there's no like blanket method of grieving. Everyone does it differently. You know, they cope with it differently. And like we've tried to be as normal as possible. Like even when baby had passed away, we still were joking around, you know, when people would come and visit and things. Like I think when you guys rocked up to the house, we did like a karanga or something. Like, you know, just to kind of, like, we don't want to, it's kind of that, you know, when a kid falls over, like a kid's running along, they fall over, and you see them, and you say to them, "You're good, get up, you're okay." Yeah. You know, you put that into them, they believe that. And then they get up and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm okay." Whereas if a kid falls over and you're like, "Oh, you know, oh, poor baby, blah, blah, blah," they start crying, you know, like it's kind of just, I don't know, like how to, like I'm not saying, you know what I mean? Like it's not, like no way is wrong, but there is like a more, I guess, positive way of, you know, dealing with things.
Yeah, no, I like that. So then if you had advice for other parents that are going through similar things but are struggling, like with the move forward and cleaving together kind of scenario, what would you say to them? Because I mean, for Will and I to say something to them would be a bit of a joke because they would be like, well, what do you know? Like, you haven't suffered what we suffered. But from your guys, I really like the positive, the still being yourself personality is really shining through to help. So what would you say to people that differ from yourselves, but that might help?
Grieve together. Cry together. It's the best thing. You know, just pour your hearts out together. Don't do it separately because, well, I wouldn't have tried to do it separately, but, you know, the best advice we could give is do it together. Yeah. Stick together, you know, always grieve together. Yeah. What else you got to add?
No, you know, like just lay it all out. Yeah. You know, don't bottle it up. I know it sounds so cliche, but it's so true because, you know, the more you kind of keep in, the more frustrated you get at each other. You don't know what's going on in each other's minds. So if you just lay everything out, if you're frustrated at something that your partner's doing, let them know. They might not realize that it's annoying you or that it might be triggering, you know, bad thoughts or memories or anything like that. So just being straight up with each other, being yourselves as much as you possibly can, and just really kind of, I don't know, we did a lot of focusing on what we did have rather than, you know, what we had lost. And that's, yeah, absolutely. So like just being grateful for everything that we do have. And that's not to like make baby mean any less, but just so that we are kind of, enjoying each other still, even with baby not being here with us.
So you mentioned you've had a baby since.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's that like?
Yeah. Did you have the same fears? Did you have the same fears going into it, or were you guys a bit more confident and your hope was recovered?
No.
It was a nerve-wracking one.
Same fears.
It was a long pregnancy for both of us. Just every day waking up, you know, what if, is he still there? Is he okay? You know, going into a scan, like wondering, are they going to tell us, you know, there's no heartbeat, or it was
just waiting for the bad news. There's that kind of attitude. You're just like holding each other's hands, like, we're just waiting. When are they going to come in and tell us?
Literally holding our breath.
Scary.
The whole pregnancy. And like, it was like walking on eggshells. It was freaking.
Oh, right.
It was crazy.
I never comprehended that until we just had a conversation now. Like, wow.
Yeah. Because it wasn't an easy pregnancy, right? You had still monitored quite a bit from memory. Yeah. So did lots of
a lot of hospital time. The hospital time, and like, I mean, as positive as you try to be, you know, the last time you were in a hospital bed, that's right, you didn't come home with a baby, sort of thing. So it's just, there's a lot of overthinking, a lot of it. And when you're in a hospital by yourself, you know, and then not even by yourself, you're in a shared room, and sometimes mothers, you can hear through the curtain, have just lost, you know, their baby or whatever. So I'd be ringing this guy, I'd be like, I don't know if I can do this. It was just, you know, it was tough, like a long 9 months. It was the longest 9 months ever. and then even worse, going into theatre.
Mm.
You know, just the whole motion of going through the same thing. It was tense, really tense.
Yeah, wow.
So going back with baby Drew, you know, you guys were like praying your guts out and all that. Coming with the new baby, did that same thing repeat? But for like, please keep our baby.
Let us keep this one. Yeah.
It was like you were double.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But even like through the kids as well, like their praying was like pretty up there with us.
Yeah.
You could hear them at night going before they go to sleep. Their prayers, it was just touched us, and then we'd go to our, you know, we'd go to bed and we'd pray as well, like you and Harden. But teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah.
It's so, man, I'm just buzzing out just hearing your guys' story, because it's like, it's so powerful. Like the whole family praying so hard. Like you can't go a time praying so hard without getting closer to God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's just one of the consequences. You're eventually going to get closer to God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my question is, you know, not to lessen Drew's life, are you grateful for the relationship you have because of the experience you guys have had? You know, your relationship with God now, are you grateful for that because of the experience you've had?
Yeah.
Totally.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Like, I mean, you know, he's always there. I don't know. I guess you come to a realization where you really need him to get you through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like where everything that you were doing just isn't enough. Like there's just a little void there that needs to be filled, and sometimes you just don't realize what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start praying, and then you're like, look, there it is. You know, it just, everything makes sense. You just feel, with us, like we felt heaps more calm. And even though it felt like things were going wrong, we just kind of trusted him in everything. We're like, oh, we've always said, if it's meant to be, it'll happen, you know. So but yeah, having a relationship or growing closer to God through our trials has, it's just kind of upped everything. Just trumps everything. You know, like there's just so much more meaning and purpose, and I can't even put it into proper words.
Yeah. This is a good aspect, because there'll be people like not of faith that watch this or that don't believe in God, or and so I've appreciated when we've done these that people of faith have shared how that helps them, and that's been like, you know, it might not have been something grand in like a seeking counselling or something like that they haven't ventured down there. They might have needed it eventually, but that ultimately where they went first and foremost was to pray to a God or to seek that extra divine intervention. And so I think that's something, have you learned from that? I've learned that also with couples that, you know, it's very easy to turn away from each other. So I've appreciated listening to a couple that have turned in and have cleaved to each other, because in the world we live in, it would be so easy to just blame and turn away, and the hurt and the sadness and all the feelings that arise from it, to suffer that alone. And that's something Will and I have really felt for people on the other end, as they've suffered alone. And so I'm really grateful that you guys have shown an aspect of turning towards each other. Yeah. And that relationship is powerful, that it can show that you can heal from grieving together and coming together. So thank you for that.
Yeah. You know, as we were talking, I was just thinking to myself, man, what's all the non-believers thinking? You know, they're just like, hurry up, you weirdos, get to something I can apply. I apologize to the non-believers, that we kind of went down this route, but for the Tānoas, this is kind of what helped them, so we have to tell their story, you know what I mean?
And I love it.
And I'm a believer, so I could have really appreciate it, but just looking at your kids, like, you guys may not know it, but because they have that relationship so young, they will have it forever, you know what I mean? Like, I look around, sometimes some people never had that relationship when they're young. They're never given the opportunity. They never had a tragic moment in their life where they had to draw closer to God. So even though it's been a real tragic experience, there's a lot of blessings that have come out of it for your family, like eternally.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, we did say at one point that maybe Drew wasn't meant for the world. Maybe she was meant for us to, to grow closer to each other and to grow closer to Heavenly Father. So, definitely tragic, but at the same time, we've had a lot of wins out of it.
So
nice. Cool. Very good to hear. So how were, another question that is more for the viewers and people like me and Will, how do, how are people around you, and how do people approach it? I know sometimes it's on eggshells and people don't know where to go, or what are some awkward scenarios you've had, or you're like, yeah, you do more of that, or don't do that. We'd love to hear, because these help us learn.
What's the do's and don'ts when others interact with you guys around that topic?
Yeah.
What would you guys prefer they talk about? What would you prefer them not talk about?
Share with us, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
What's some stupid things people have said?
One super awkward conversation I had with someone like soon afterward. And I don't blame them. I guess they forgot or whatever, but they kept asking me, "Oh, are you going to have any more kids? Are you going to have more babies? When are you going to have another baby?" And I think this person raised it like 3 times within the space of 10 minutes. And I was kind of like, and I didn't really want to I'm pretty straight up. Normally I'm like, mate, I just lost a baby. It's going to be a while. But I was kind of waiting for the penny to drop. Yeah. And then it finally did. And she was like,
apologizing.
I'm so sorry. And I'm like, no, it's okay. It's fine. No, it's not fine. But, I'm just like, it's easy. Like, we forget that other people forget, So we don't go around like within our mind thinking
they should understand.
Everybody knows about Drew. Everybody, everyone will be sorry for us. Everyone's going to say this sort of thing. We just, honestly, the best advice I reckon would just be to act as normally as possible. Like, just don't make it such a massive thing. Like I said, kid falls over, they hurt themselves, get up, you're good. It's okay. Like, and not to, I guess, diminish our loss or to make it seem any less than anything. But hey, what did you find? What do you reckon?
Exactly what you said.
Top marks, mate. Top marks.
No, that's it. You just got to be yourself. So the dues is just act normal, because honestly, if it was on the other shoe, like if someone else was to, if I was watching myself and I changed, I would know the change straight away. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But if you just be yourself, no one will even know what happened. So I think for me, it's just don't change. Why change? Be yourself.
Could be a changes.
Totally. Be normal, or don't dwell on it so much.
Yeah.
Like, don't just keep harping on. Like, it's okay to check in, how you doing, kind of thing, but don't kind of stay there. Come away from it, and then just move on, and just try to make things as normal as possible. Because the more you kind of dwell on it, the more it kind of cuts deep, and then you start rehashing all that kind of stuff. Kind of like a Band-Aid, You're trying to heal it, but then people just keep coming and ripping it off, so you got to keep putting a new one on. And but what we have found pretty cool is because, like, obviously I post a lot about Drew, and I'm always expressive on social media and whatever, but we found that a lot of people respond to that. and their responses and their replies, them reaching out to us, like that's really cool for us. And so we have been able to make a whole heap of, like, we've kind of got a little community of people who have gone through similar or the same thing that we've been able to, you know, become really close with because everyone kind of relates.
Yeah, nice, cool. So are you guys then open for people that watch this, that experience the same thing, to reach out to you guys if they were struggling or wanted to chat to someone that they could relate to? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I don't.
100%.
Yeah, that's totally cool.
Okay,
cool.
cool.
I mean,
Yeah. Thanks heaps for joining us, Tanos. It's been a amazing story. Like, you guys took us through a ride. Like, you took us through the part where you had no hope, and then you know, being forced to have hope again, and good advice with like turning towards each other as opposed to
that was my
away.
favorite part.
Yeah. If you're not Christian, you don't have to like pray heaps, but you can make sure you try and be one. You know, like there is a principle they teach, like you become one. So.
Or try praying, it might work.
Or try and pray, yeah.
you can do Will and Kim's prayers under the blanket.
I know, those prayers don't get answered very well.
Yeah. No, but it does bring me happiness.
Okay, we'll wrap that up because Will's got to get carried away now. Thank you for joining us. The Tanos are some of our good friends, and so we're grateful that you've been willing to jump on our little adventure here and for Chat Tuesday. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys, and keep fighting the good fight. Have hope. Fight back.
Thanks, guys.
Cool.
Thanks for having us.
No worries.